Hi, and welcome to Creative AI Explorer. I am PixelPia, and I have a bad cold, so I will try and keep my talking to a minimum today. Today, we are back in AI Studio to create a new app. You really liked my last video where we created an app for YouTube where we could provide data and get suggested titles for upcoming videos. Today, I'm going to try to create an app for creative writing. We are going to try to create an app for a 5-arc story. So with that said, let's move over to my computer and start a new project. So here we are in aistudio.google.com and we are going to build. I have already prepared the prompt, so let's take a look at that. You are an assistant that generates simple, usable story arcs for writers. Always produce clear, concise outputs that help a writer build a story structure without overwhelming detail. Follow this structure strict, a 5-beat story. First, we have setup, spark, struggle, shift, and resolution. For each beat, provide a 1-sentence description of what happens, a 1-sentence description of how the protagonist changes or is pressured, a reflective question for the writer to explore this beat. Tone should be practical, direct, and writer-friendly. Never create full scenes or long prose. Keep the output compact but meaningful. And then I have asked Gemini to help me write a description for the look. I am building several apps and I am also building a new website that somewhere in the beginning of next year will be available for all of you, that you can use these apps. So in that part, it says, this is the look I want for the app. And I have decided on colors and fonts and also what to write in the beginning. So let's start by just sending this and see what our first attempt give us. Clicking build. And if this is the first time you see me building an app in AI Studio, down here on the left hand side on the bottom, you see that is thinking, and we will soon see that change. Here we go. Now it starts to build. We can look at code here as it is building the code. This is something I could never do. I don't know anything about coding, even though I'm learning. But if we go back to the preview window, as soon as it is done with all the steps it has to do here, the app will show up in this area. And here we go. And right away, I want to change up something. I say, can we put the word story arc on a separate line and in the blue text color? Now again, we see it thinking. And here we have the updated landing page, exactly as I wanted it. So now we're going to test the app. We click Start Generate. And here I would like to have, I don't want it to say Pixel Pro Arc. I want it to say Story Arc. So I ask for that. And it's thinking again. Think it's this page. It will start doing changes to the generate. And yes, it was. So now let's go back here. And the first page, the landing page, hasn't changed. And it says Story Arc up here. I would like it to be all in bold and blue, but that I can change later. Now, define your premise. Enter a rough idea, character, or genre. We build the structure. And I have an idea here for a children's story. A young gnome girl who wanders into the forest. She does this against her grandparents telling her not to do so. Here she meets a frightened mouse, a squirrel that pranks everybody, and a very wise owl. And together they go on adventure. So let's just click Generate Arc and see what we will get. And here we have our 5 cards set up. Elara, a curious young gnome, lives in a secure village but yearns to explore the mysterious forbidden forest her grandparents warned her against. The pressure, Elara feels the constant pull between her family's rules for safety and her own burgeoning desire for adventure and discovery. And a reflection down here. What specific curiosity or feeling of confinement makes the forbidden forest so irresistible to Elara? Okay, I would like to add something here. After generate arc, I would like for each beat to include an edit function and an extend function. I also want an explanatory text above the beat cards with symbols. And we are sending that. So here we're going to test again. Start generating. Put in the same idea. And here we have the new buttons, edit or extend. Let's see what editing. Okay, now we can add to each piece here. Let's cancel that and see what extend does. Okay, now we got a little bit more. Okay, it's explained this, and this is pretty self-explanatory. Also add an explanation for the edit and expand function. The header of the page should say story arc in bold and the blue text color. Let's change all of that while we are working. Okay, it's done. And it's fixed the story arc up here. That's good. So let's generate again. Okay, that looks good. I wonder what create another arc. Does it take us back to start over? Okay. I want to add here in the reflection. In each beat card after the reflection, add some useful questions for the author to think about for this beat. And let's see what it does. Okay. Before we try it, I actually have created a logo here that I'm gonna upload. Can you use this logo in the header and send that before we try the app? Okay, let's see if those changes work. That's not a perfect logo, but let's go with that for now and see what happens. And they added deep dive here. That part is good, but I didn't like the logo. So you see here, they have a restore. So let's click that and see. No, we want to restore back to there. There we go. Now we're back with the P. And let's see if the rest is still there. Reflection, deep dive. We have all of that here. Okay, there is one more thing I will add right now before we end today. But this is just the beginning of the work. Now I'm adding, after editing or expanding the cards, I want to be able to download the full arc as either a PDF file or as a Windows doc. So let's send that. One error occurred, so we just click auto fix here and see what that was. While we're doing that, we will see what the AI said. I will add the functionality to download the generated story arc as PDF or doc. This involves adding the necessary libraries, index.html, creating a new service, export service, to handle the file generation, and updating generator page.tsx to include the download buttons. So that's what it was doing. And the following errors: uncaught syntax error. The requested module file saver does not provide an exported name as save as. So we will see what happens. And now it's telling us that it will update the services export service.ts to fix the file saver. So let's see. Let's try again. So here we have, I'm not going to go into what it suggests for the story. That's not important right now. And download PDF, download that, and download the doc. The only thing I would like for these two to do now is download PDF and download docs should follow the same color scheme as all other buttons, the blue, purple. And let's send that. And while we are waiting, let's look at the docs we just downloaded. Here is the story arc, setup, the action, the pressure, the spark, the struggle. It looks good. Let's look at the doc. It's a little harder to read here, so here we go. Setup, spark, struggle, shift, and all the questions are here as well. So for now, I think we have a good idea about this app. Let's see if it changes the button colors for the last one. As I said, this is not the finished app. I have more ideas on what I want this app to be when it's done. But let's quickly see again if it changed the buttons here at this page. And it did. So now the look is cohesive. Back to home. We are back here. Lost dog. What happens if that's all the information I give? Okay, it builds out the 5-beat story arc. If I go on with this, we can take a look here. Let's start by looking at full screen. Back to home. If this was a deployed app and you used it on your computer, this is what it would look like. But you can also see how the same app would look like at a phone. Start generating a lost dog again, generate, and here we have exactly what it would look like on a phone. And let's see what it would look like on a tablet. All of them works. So again, we have created a 5-arc story with just natural language. So that was our story arc app built in Google's AI Studio with absolutely no coding. It's simple and flexible and useful for anyone who wants to write a story. Next week, we are building another app, but this time not in AI Studio. We are going back to Google Labs and we are going to try Opal. That's a different way to create apps. And if you are interested, make sure you are subscribed and have the little bell turned on so you get notified. I hope to see you here in my next video. This was today's episode of Creative AI Explorer. And as always, stay curious. Bye.